I don't know about you, but I buy so much absolute tat when it comes to podcast stuff. Like I'm dealing with these little microphones now. I'm trying to do something different. I forget that I have them. I buy them. They turn up. I unpack them, put them on a shelf somewhere, and then completely forget about them until I sit down. Yeah, exactly.
Now I've got 3 of them because I put one of them somewhere in the bag in the boot of my car. I couldn't find it for ages. Went online, got 2 because I thought I'm going to have a spare one. And then the old one shows up now. I've got 3. I just want to make sure I don't lose them all.
I know. Honestly, I get so carried away with it all, but it's bug. Like, I don't know about you, but I enjoy doing it. And I'm like, oh, there's got to be a different way I can do things and try and do something different. Because again, I'm literally running that out of a suitcase or a backpack. This is a very budget operation.
God, what else are you buying other than a microphone and your laptop? You've got a whole thing going on.
No, literally, honestly, if you could see the other side of this, it's ridiculous. Like, oh my God, there's all sorts. There's like, yeah, it's not, it's all an illusion, isn't it? It's all an illusion.
I'm just at home.
That's all right. I'm sure the sun's shining outside because it definitely isn't doing that here in Jersey.
Oh my God. That's one place in the US I've not been to.
Really?
Yeah, I've not been to Jersey.
It gets a bad rap, but I love it.
Yeah, it does.
I love it. Like, and it's the sad thing is, and again, you know, you being where you are and it over on the West Coast, you land at Newark Airport. If you've ever landed at Newark Airport, which obviously you haven't, and it's just miserable, like chimney stacks and nonsense everywhere. But it's actually quite nice. And I'm not working for the New Jersey Tourist Board. I'm just like, it's not as bad. It's got a lot of charm.
Is Newark in Jersey?
Yes.
Okay, so then in that case I have been, but only to the airport and the hotel there somewhere for a friend's wedding, and then off to Manhattan.
There you go. Yeah, it's not too far away as well, so it's all pretty close. You can basically, it feels like you're in New York, so it's close enough anyway, round there.
I see.
Yeah, there's so much more to it.
Like what? Like tell me.
Trees. It's called the Garden State for a reason. It's very green. You can go skiing if you want to. You can go to the beach if you want to. You can go hiking.
Over there.
Yeah, at the top,
Ooh,
like the northwest part of Jersey. Yeah. It's all very. There's all sorts going on. See, you never knew, did you?
No, I did not. Nobody says that. Nobody tells you that bit. You guys are keeping good bits to yourself. I don't blame you.
That's it. They just tell everyone it's the armpit of America, but you know, it's all right. You're close enough to other things if you really want to do them. Yeah. But listen, I could talk a glass eye to sleep sometimes, so I think it's probably better that I get going. Welcome to the Crossing the Pond podcast, hosted by me, Gary Adair, where each week our guests will recount their own experiences of resilience and transformation, whether it's moving to a new country, tackling health challenges, changing careers, or breaking through personal barriers. This week, we welcome Yolanda Reshemah, creator of the Places We Call Home and Starting Over in the USA podcast. Yolanda's journey has taken her from her birthplace of St. Vincent and the Grenadines to England, France, and now all the way to the west coast of America. We'll dig into her experiences of connection, belonging, and what she has discovered since creating and hosting her own podcast, including the surprising hurdles many people face when moving to the USA. Listeners meeting you for the first time, myself included, I suppose, tell me about your journey to this point.
My gosh. So now, my name is Yolanda Reshemah Sigmuller. I am Brit. I live here now. I've been here in the US for just over 10 years, over a decade. And originally, my family moved from Caribbean, St. Vincent, to England. And I grew up in St. Vincent and partially in England. We were, doing both. So I experienced the whole cultural shift at a very young age as a child. And from a child going to college in England, school and college, I had a stint in France because I was studying there. So I lived there for a while. And that change coming back to England is part of my relocation journey as well, because when I moved back to England from France, just a hop away, turning on the TV in England, it was like, what is this? It was a bit of a culture shock. And so, I continue to travel because I've always felt that it's one way of growth that I could determine the pace of that growth and experience and just enjoying life. And I met my husband. My work in England was primarily in law. From that into business transformation and strategic planning and all that sort of good stuff. And met my husband, and we decided, we need more sun. Let's go somewhere where we can find a sun and have some enjoyment and have an adventure while we're at it. And we thought, Singapore, too far, the language. What about New Zealand, too far with the parents? Eventually hit on the US, so we came over here, basically looking for more sun. And as I said, that's been over a decade ago. Here I am with a child who is American. We've just had a stint in England for a year. And then coming back, I realized, oh my gosh, America does actually feel like home. Yeah, that's kind of a whirlwind arrival here geographically.
That's a lot different from me. Like, I literally plonked here and didn't move. 2 years has just gone like that for me. It's ridiculous.
But you sound still very, very Brit.
Well, there is a caveat to it because my wife is English as well. So I don't really have to break character, if that makes sense.
All right.
I am a teacher, but the kids just get what they get now. This is it.
All right. They probably love that anyway. Don't change it.
Exactly. I know it helps them listen, I suppose, because they're trying to figure out what is he saying or what did he just say. But yeah, when you think back, because that's a lot of movements and it really is a lot to unpack. But when you think back to childhood in St. Vincent and then later into England, what were the earliest moments that shaped your understanding of identity or community?
Oh, that's such a brilliant question. What shaped my identity in terms of belonging and home and that sort of stuff? It's family. It's the culture. It's everything that the Caribbean, well, St. Vincent in particular, because they're all very different. It's definitely family, the people around me. It's the food. It's having beaches every weekend. It's having a pace of life that is much slower. It's what we value. We value relationships. We value family connections. I'm recording. And, things like the music and the colors we paint our houses. And it's a freeness that I don't think I can find anywhere else. By that, I mean that the things we worry and concern ourselves with are really deep, fundamental things, and not the frippery. There is no space or time for being flaky in terms of relationships and what you value and how you spend your time. There is no rush.
What's different about St. Vincent then that makes it so special for you? Obviously, you're from there, so it's a little bit of bias, but,
It's the beaches, it's the food, it's the land, it's the culture. For example, we're known not by our first names, you're known by your family name. Because you are important as an individual, but it's the family structure, it's the family history that is really significant. So people know the family name and they know the region of the family, your dad's side and your mom's side. And it's the fact that you can hop through the islands, St. Vincent and the Grenadines. So you've got the mainland, St. Vincent, and then you've got a group, a chain of different islands, and they're tiny. And you probably hear of Mustique, and you probably heard of Union Island and Canawan. We got plummeted by Beryl 2 years ago. And it's the beauty, it's the snorkeling, going out in a little boat, catching lobster and fishing after school. It's just that sort of thing that you can be a real child, bare feet on the sand at the weekends, just making mud pies.
That's cool. What age were you when you moved? 10?
I'm the youngest, yes. And my family wanted us to have our identity there, to understand our heritage and our culture, because it's very distinct. And just to continually just to know who we are, to be really grounded. The people around us, policemen, lawyers, everyone look like us.
Yeah.
That environment.
So with all that, was it family that felt like home? Like, did home stop becoming one fixed thing as you move?
That's wherever I go, my immediate family, that creates a sense of home. But at that point in time, home was always St. Vincent. Home was always the bright sunshine and the food. Because when we moved to England, we hated the food. What is it about the grey beef burgers? It's not like that now, I have to say. England is marvelous with great cuisine. But it's the family that kept us grounded. It's having that familiarity. It's that thing in common that we all know, just having each other as well. That's what kept me grounded, kept us grounded, created security and family. Yeah.
And when you moved, did you move as a group? Does that make sense?
No, my parents moved first. Then some of the eldest, my eldest siblings moved first, moved second. And the younger ones, we stayed so we can have our schooling. It's the village that raises you. And
Yeah.
we have a big family. It's the uncles and aunts, it's the grandparents, it's the neighbors that you can trust, it's the cousins, because we spent our summers together just as a big pile, you know. And so these are the people who raise you whenever the parents are busy or they were tired. And that continued to be the case after my folks moved and my older sisters moved. Just two of us moved when I hopped over, myself and my immediate sister.
I don't think people quite understand the gravity of something like that. Like, people do go first, then the next lot go, and the next lot go. And you think about people who've moved to countries, emigrated to places way back, but the fact that your mother and father left and went away, and then you followed suit after the fact, I think it'd be tough for a lot of people over here to grasp that, wouldn't it? Like in the US especially, maybe even in England as well. Like, you move to a place when you're older maybe, but the fact that your father's left or your mother's left you, I mean, yeah, and you're in a great position because the village is taking care of you and your like extended family. But I think that could be quite an alien thing for a lot of people. So, like, how do you deal with that? Like, as a kid, as a 10-year-old kid, 9-year-old kid, when your mum and dad shift?
Oh, I remember them getting on the airplane. I remember it being very difficult for my mother as she was walking up the steps. I remember her crying, and I remember missing her, definitely. I think your other family members can never replace your parents, but it is a great comfort to have what then they're also like parents, you know, the older people, my grandmother, my mum's mum, my uncles, you know, they spoiled me rotten, you know. So
So it wasn't that bad.
No, it really wasn't. I remember, you know, I remember riding on the shoulders of my uncles, my dad's brothers, you know, during the summer months, being in their workshop because they made boats, and being in their workshops with the pretend plane going back and forth on a plank of wood. And that was great joy for me, you know. And so, yeah, it was difficult, but it wasn't destructive. It wasn't harmful. It was just something we did, something we could do because of the family network. And I think that's the thing, maybe that's really missing these days, is having a wider family who are immediately there to support you to pick up the pieces.
The reason I say it is because I often meet people, or have often met people in the past 20 years, like taxi drivers in New York that are from the Middle East, and they moved here. They've been here for 10 years and they're waiting for the family to come. And I just think to myself, like, it's unbelievable, that, isn't it? Like, the one pioneer out the family goes, and then eventually they're able to get the family, because they've got to do it legally. And obviously now that's a bigger issue and a bigger talking point than a lot of things. But the fact that people do that it's fascinating to me.
Yeah, it is. And I wonder if it's more common to us Black and brown cultures, because then we go, we assess the land, we figure out what we want to create in order to bring the family over into an environment that is safe, that is secure, where you know they're going to thrive. And that's what you've got to create. And that doesn't take a year or two. That takes quite a few years to do.
Definitely.
Right? Because they themselves they're foreigners. They've got to figure it out and make it work in order to bring everybody else. They've got to earn the money and buy the house.
Yeah. Where did you move in England when you first went?
Hertfordshire.
Oh,
And
very
that's where we
posh. Very
stayed.
posh.
Yes, it is lovely. And we're still there and we absolutely love it. I loved it. I loved it. I've been to a few other parts of England. Haven't loved it all quite as much. I'm in a position in Hertfordshire where I can jump on a train, 20 minutes, be in central London and squiddle out again.
So are you in Hertford right now? Is that
No, I'm in Snowbans. No.
Oh, St. Albans. Okay, yeah.
Albans, yes.
Has there been a place that you've gone to and instantly felt this is like comfort, a level of comfort, a level of security that maybe some of the other places you never did? Like if, was going to France easier than going to England for the first time? Or like you said, coming back to England and switching the telly on, was that a bit of a jolt to you? What are the places that you've been to have you felt most comfortable?
Funnily enough, Tuscany, Italy. We go there a lot. And I love the place. There's this village called Vicenza. I hope I'm saying it right. Vicenzo, my husband isn't here to correct me off the side. And it's near Padua, not too far, maybe an hour's drive outside of Verona. And it's just the most beautiful place. We felt accepted because we're a multicultural family. My husband's German. My child is mixed race American. And then there's moi. And we just showed up and it was just lovely. They loved my kids. There's a sense there of family. It's fairly remote and it just feels and seems quite untouched to some degree. And I could easily move there.
Yeah. Is that a similar feeling to where you're from? Like you said, relatively untouched, albeit
in terms of the people, in terms
simple.
of their attitude, yeah. In terms of their love of good food, seafood, sunshine, just valuing relationships, valuing what you bring. Yeah, it's just really lovely.
Listen, you're selling it to me. I've never been. It's funny. I've never been to Italy ever, which is, I know.
Wait, Gary, come on.
Honestly, right? Well, it's funny because my thing is, because I've been here for 20, God knows how long, right? And every time I have any vacation time, I go back to my parents, unless, like, there's been a couple of times, like, I've been snuck to Paris to watch Liverpool play, or like this past year we went to Lisbon because it was a short flight and loved it. But most of my adult life has been in the US. So I just missed the boat on, like little weekend trips to Italy or going to Germany or...
Listen, you haven't missed the boat until the day you die. So while you're breathing, there's still a chance. The next trip over, I love Tuscany. I don't like pizza. I'm sorry, I don't want to offend anyone, but there's so many different cities in Tuscany, towns. It's just gorgeous. I really recommend it.
I keep seeing these things where you can buy like a farmhouse for buttons and just go and live there. And I'm like, one of these days, like I
see those too.
I really see that in my future. What, with all this movement and everything else, like, has there been personal experiences or turning points that have had the biggest impact on you?
My gosh, yes. I mean, the obvious, being a wife, getting married, definitely becoming a parent, and of all the back and forths and the relocating abroad that I've done, significantly being in the US has changed my life, because this is an environment, as you probably know, where the attitude is very much, if there is something you want to do, you can do it. I'll support you. Those are the people I have around me. That's how I've kind of, in a way, ended up really doing the podcast show that I have. And these are people who encourage me. I'm learning a great deal. It seems to be very easy to jump into that, I say ocean because it's so vast, being a business owner, to jump into that identity of owning a business, of owning a podcast and making it work. There's just so much help around it. Everything just seems to be possible.
Yeah, and just surrounding yourself by the right people, right? It's at what point so I try my best to do that, and I feel like I do a good job now, and I feel like it comes with experience and a little bit of age and everything else. At what point do you start to realize, like, I need to do this in order to help myself out a little bit? Because given your upbringing and given the it takes a village mentality, you know exactly what you're looking for and you're sure of what you wanted to, who you wanted to surround yourself with along the way. So there's no defining moment. It's just more come from your nurturing and upbringing with your family back home.
I guess to some degree, I hadn't actually thought of it as you've just described, but the way that it arrived for me, surrounding myself with people who see me, who understand me, who can cheer for me, who can come and look for me when they haven't seen me for a few days, who know my number and will ring me, authentic friends. That occurred when, after a few years of being here, and I started getting a little bit lonely, had these events that I would go to in order to make connections, because, as expats, one of the many psychological issues that we encounter is being without friends because we are without our families. And that's what I focus on in my podcast, is the psychological issues. And I started seeing, okay, now I'm beginning to feel a little bit of a way. In England, making friends is pretty easy. I could be in a pub on a train and we could start a conversation with somebody. And before you know it, 2 years later, we're going on vacation together, because that's happened.
Yeah.
But friendships and connections aren't so organic here, because Americans have more of a barrier of, stranger danger. They might let you in so far, but then, for the depth and authenticity, it takes a lot longer. And that's the situation that I found myself in. And I wanted that to change. So I had to pull away, figure out what is it that I need to fuel my soul, my spirit, my mental well-being, as well as to just give me that physical connection. And I realized I needed more authenticity. I needed, like, spiritually, going to church, finding people there. We have that connection. I decided to go to Berkeley University, and I took a course, and I met more international students there of all ages. And that exposed me to other opportunities and other people. And, that's how I met these people now that are part of my community. I realized you have to build your community. You don't just arrive and jump into a community, because you might not necessarily be accepted. You have to build what you need around you. And so that's really what happened. I've built a community of people who are authentic and who see me and who cheer me on. And they allow me to do the same for them.
That's a great answer. I love that. The big thing about my podcast is typically exactly what you've just said, like finding your place, finding your community, finding those people that'll support you, especially when you're so far away from home and maybe you can't just walk down the street and go and get a cup of tea or at your grandma's house or whoever family member's house. So to go to your podcast now, the places we call home, at what stage or what was happening in your life when the idea for the podcast first came about?
That's such a good question, because, Gary, I'm not entirely sure how to answer that. I think we had just left COVID. It was late 2020 going into 2021. And we had just started moving around. And some girlfriends and I decided to go up to Napa. And we traveled up in a big group of us in a car. And we were having these deep conversations about relationships, coming from a different country and settling down in the US, what that looks and feels and sounds like, and what we bring with us, and the things we've achieved and what we're most proud of. And over the period of the rest of 2021, we kept having so many different deep conversations. And eventually they started saying to me, Yolanda, why don't you record these? You should do something with all of this stuff. And I'm like, why are you asking me? Why don't you do it? I have no, why would I want to record anything? That's not in my wheelhouse. I have no experience of that. But then moving throughout 2021, the groups of friends, separate groups of friends, would say something quite similar to me, because we would have other conversations about what do we want to achieve this year? What are we doing with the kids? And what are our ambitions and stuff like that, self-development. And we would gather weekly and talk about these things and cheer each other on and provide support for each other. And they would say to me, why what, you should record. That's another group, 4 women here, 5 women over there. Then I started going to supermarkets, having random conversations with people in the queue. And they always ask me, do you record? Do you do voiceovers? You should record an app. You should record a podcast show. So I realized there were so many different random people popping up saying the same things, but I was resisting it because I had no experience. I didn't want to put myself out there. Until one day I kind of prayed about it, and I decided maybe I'll try it. And I mentioned it to one parent at the school where my daughter goes to. And he immediately said, I have a microphone, a Yeti microphone that you can use. Somebody else said, I have a studio that used to belong to Disney that you could use. Somebody else behind me said, oh, you need to speak to my mum. My mum's got a really good story. And at that point, I was like, oh, what's going on? It had just taken off. It had happened. And I was in the middle of what felt like a whirlwind. That is how I ended up. But I still resisted it because I didn't have a clue about podcasting. Get together with somebody, have a conversation. But there's so much more to it than that. That is the bare basis of how it started.
It sounds very similar to me.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Like, I've dealt with a lot of things over here. Like, I've struggled with again, not trying to go too deep, but I've struggled with things, being alone and struggling, being alone in my own head, like lonely. There's a difference between being alone and being lonely. And I've struggled with that a lot in the past. One day I was thinking, how can I document this as a form of helping myself, but maybe even as like a kind of a guide to somebody else if anyone starts to pick it up. And I often thought about the podcast. And to your point then about mentioning it to one person, and I picked the most cynical person I know, thinking similar to I was like, you know what, mate, no one wants to listen to it. What am I going to do? I don't know what I'm doing, blah, 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 blah. And even 2 years on, this is me, flying a plane while I'm still building it, basically. But
yes.
But that's the way you've got to start, haven't you? Like a girl who I know, a friend of ours, she said, stop getting ready to get ready and then just do it. So I was like, all right, fair enough. I'll give it a go. And it's helping out a little bit, but you just got to get the gumption together, haven't you? And it's amazing how many people will go, like you just said then, I can help you. I know someone who'll do that. I'll help you out. It's great. And it just validates you a little bit. But has it been a slow build once you got going? Like, what were the early sort of hurdles that you faced out with not knowing anything about podcasting?
The early hurdles, me. Because, other than the fact that I had absolutely no clue what to do, other than the fact that I was able to hold a half decent conversation with another human being and press record. But I knew there was far more beyond that. But I just didn't know how to get it. So that was the slow bit, just continually learning off the cuff and then finding myself in a community workspace where I'm surrounded by all founders, all entrepreneurs of different skill sets. And they then surrounded me with help, encouraging me and telling me, you need to move out of your head. You need to stop distancing yourself from this. And they saw the vision and the idea, and they helped to help me understand what I'm dealing with and help me shape it. That it's more than just having conversations with, it's primarily now women who move abroad, starting in the USA. It's not just that, but it's creating tips and tools and strategies to help women anywhere who relocate abroad to any other country, so that they, as you were saying, similarly, so that they have a guide to help them through the psychological issues. And what are people experiencing that we don't know? This stuff you can't pack a suitcase for. So it was initially getting out of my head, because I was distancing myself from it, because I didn't want to be public. I didn't want to be seen. I just about managed to be heard. And that was difficult. That took a while.
Yeah, it is. It's all in your head, isn't it? It's just, you can't get out your own head. What emotional gap or conversation was most prevalent with all the early conversations with your friends and your colleagues and the people that you talk to on the show, is it a multitude of things, or is there a consistent theme of what comes out every time you talk to somebody?
There is some consistency, which is really heartening, but every individual has a different spin because they're really talking about their personal journey and how they overcome some of those common challenges. Everybody goes through homesickness. Not everybody goes through culture shock, and there are so many varying degrees of culture shock, and the two things are different. Homesickness and culture shock are very different. Everybody goes through some degree of loneliness. Not everybody goes through a process of feeling that you have to transform yourself, that your identity, what you do, what you are known for, has to change in some way because it doesn't translate. Either because you don't have enough English, or maybe because the English you have doesn't work in a professional environment, or, for whatever reason. So the conversations, the commonalities, homesickness, cultural differences, loneliness, that comes up a lot. Why is it so difficult to make friends here in the US, even though I come from an English-speaking country? And that's to do with understanding the culture. And we don't prepare for that. There is no manual. There is no guide, really. There are bits you can, go to and look up online. But I feel like it ought to be part of the immigration process. And I'd like to be that person to make it so.
Yeah, it is funny. They'll ask you 6 questions about American history, but they won't give you any sort of framework to sort of get involved in the culture. It's like, you need to know us, but we don't need to know you. So just answer the questions and get out.
Somebody I interviewed, a young lady by the name of Dasha, I think she's episode 7, 8. She came from Russia and she moved to Lubbock, Texas, and she was completely rejected. She tried so hard to be part of the community with the other women. That's where her American husband's from. But just her way of speaking, her way of perfect English, but her way of conveying her messages was just not received. And she explained it as such, sugar and spice and all things nice. She said, I only had spice. I had no sugar. And so she was, because they love a lot of sugar, and she didn't have the sugar. And so she was really rejected. And she said she had to get a therapist to help her. What's wrong with me? Why can't I make friends? What's wrong with me? Because it was really kind of messing her up mentally. She was going into depression. And her therapist said, there's a lot of you. You might be in the wrong pond. If you want, either change your scales so you can fit into this pond in Lubbock, Texas, or find another pond. So they found another pond. They moved to San Francisco. She now has tons of friends because there are so many people from different parts of the world here. She doesn't feel like an outsider. She's not being rejected. Nobody prepares you for any of that.
It's true, isn't it? I mean, fortunate. It's like said, where we live now, there's so many people from all over the place in New Jersey. We're in Jersey City, and it's the demographic is most diverse in the country. It's unbelievable.
Oh,
it's
really?
great. Yeah, it's really, and it's rapidly growing, and because of like what you've just said, then people will move here because they know that they will find their little pond, so to speak, like, because there are so many people and from different places. Like if you want to go to a Russian place, you go to a Russian place. You want to go to a Caribbean restaurant, you can go to a Caribbean restaurant. And Haitian food, English food. Yeah.
That's the thing, Gary, because when myself and my husband moved here, as I said, we were chasing the sun, and he could work at the university hospital in San Francisco. And that's all we were thinking about. And this is one of my tips, because I provide solo episodes and I give expat women and men listening tips. Anyone who's listening, tips about how to deal with some of these issues. And I talk about the fact that you really need to do your research. You need to figure out and understand what it is that you're looking for when you move abroad. What is it that is so essential to you that's going to feed your soul and your spirit, that's going to make you feel so well? And I didn't realize that I needed that. I needed to have the different cultures and the smells and the aromas and the music and the language and the different ways of dressing that comes with, because we have that in London. I came here expecting that to just be a thing. And 3, 4, 5, 6 months in, I'm realizing something's missing, and well, it took me a while to realize that's the thing that I'm missing. I couldn't hear the different music and culture and differences in people.
Yeah.
And that really threw me.
I find it now, like we moved recently a little bit out into the suburbs, and that's the one thing that I'm noticing. Like, you can't just walk down the street and hear 10 different languages or 10 different accents. It's all the same, which, is all right, but
it is all right. That's fine.
It's okay, but it's,
yeah.
I feel very uncomfortable when people look and talk like me sometimes. It does my head in. I'm almost like on a different wavelength now. I'm in a place where, it's not as diverse and it's not as much difference. And I like the difference. And like you said, then the sights, the sounds, and the smells are exactly what makes something
so rich.
Oh, that's what I mean. I love it. I can't get enough of it. Do you feel like, because this is an interesting one I thought about, do you feel like this project was just as much for you as it was for the people that you speak to and the people that you're trying to get to?
Yes, in a way, because I notice now that in me doing solo episodes, I'm really having to reflect back to my experiences of having moved 6 times, having relocated to a different country 6 times, and experiencing all of the changes that comes with. I'm having to look inside and to look at what happened at each particular juncture. I'm having to look and see what sort of person I was at that point when I moved to France. When I came back from France to move back into England, I was different. I was very, very different. And I liked it. I'm having to look at all of the pain points as well as the joys, and I'm using that as fuel to share with other people in tips and strategies what to do. Here's my perspective. Here's a tip, something you can try and implement in your life right now to help you make a difference. And it is cathartic. It is a little bit like therapy as well. Yeah. I agree with that. Is that the same for you, would you say?
I think so, yeah. Because you said something before that, like, there are similarities in the answers. Like, a lot of my guests, it comes back to community and belonging and having a sense of, what comes with that, the sense of purpose, the sense of drive and the motivation to do things. Like, I find that as a common theme that runs through a lot of them. And you'll be my 80th episode. So, like, of all the episodes, like, I'd say 80% of them, to be fair, I've all come back to community and just things that I look at and go, yeah, that's what makes me tick and that's what keeps me going.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you. And then it's understanding, how do you create the community? Well, first of all, understanding that you need to create the community that's right for you, and then figuring out, how do you do that? It's understanding that you need to take the time to sit and write it down. What do I need? And that can also be quite painful, I think, because you're going to have to face facts about some things, about how you're feeling. I'm really lonely. And in identifying that loneliness, do I really need to go and get some help from somebody? To what degree am I lonely? Am I entering into depression? It's the whole mental health bit.
Yeah. Have you ever taken something that a guest of yours has said and then applied it directly to your own life or viewpoint? Yeah.
Yes. I interviewed an expat who's a psychologist in relocating. She helps families and individuals and couples. She lives in Singapore right now. And in our conversation, she said something to me. She said, the weather inside is the weather outside. Her name is Dr. Veronique Elefantiani. And you can find her online anyway. And she said, the weather inside is the weather outside. meaning two things. Before you relocate, you've got to understand what's going on in you. Why are you relocating? Are you moving yourself abroad hoping to have a better life? Because that isn't automatically going to happen because you're taking yourself. You and everything that is in you that's bothering you is traveling with you. Whatever is inside is going to show up wherever you are. But she also said, once you've moved, if you are lonely and whatever the emotions are you're dealing with internally, it's going to show up externally. So you have to have self-care. You have to have tools and strategies in place to help yourself, whether it's journaling, whether it's going to different, I don't know, meetup groups, whatever it takes for you to help yourself, you're going to have to do it. Don't turn up and expect everything to be there and work for you.
Yeah, I'm stealing that. So I'm stealing the weather outside. The weather inside is the weather outside. Stolen. I'm stealing it again. Double stolen. It's good. It's true though, isn't it? Like you do nick little nuggets off everybody, don't you? And you just add it to yourself as you go. Drop things off and pick things up as you go, depending on who you speak to. That's why I find this fascinating as well. Is there a question that you always ask your guests?
Yes, there are quite a few because I want to be able to see whether there is a trend. I ask my guests a number of questions all the time. Obviously, how did you come to be here in the US? I ask my guests, looking back, is there anything that you would change? What do you know now that you wish you knew back then? Those are like my brand identity questions that I ask. What about you? Do you have any that you always ask?
You know what? I was going to say, it leans into my next question because I feel like my questions have evolved now a little bit. It used to be like Cilla Black, like what's your name and where'd you come from? And, talk to me about what was some things that popped out early that were difficult for you and what was a common theme early on that you struggled with? Like I kind of said it to you as well. I talk a lot about transitional moments, like what was the thing that spurred you on to do what you're doing now? Or what was the thing that got you through those first years or months or whatever it was? Like I try and talk a little bit about that, but I'm trying now to listen a bit more and I'm learning that as I go. I think if you don't listen, you can set them up with a simple question, but then sometimes people will tell you more stuff. And if they feel a little bit more comfortable and empowered to speak, they'll tell you something that maybe you wouldn't have thought of in the first place. So I kind of let people go a little bit. And it's like, even now, like some of the questions I've asked you, I've just made them up as I go, just based on what you're saying. Because there's things that obviously you and I don't know each other from a hole in the wall. So there's questions that I would like to ask based on what I know about you online and whatnot. But the more you talk and the things that you say, it's like, I get that resonates with me. So I'm going to go into that one. Like I've got a question for you at the end. I'm going to save it till the end, but I've already thought about it. I've built it up now.
I want to know now. What is it?
I've built it up to me. You got to stay on the line. You got to stay on the phone, haven't you? That's it. But no, I do. I think I've evolved as I've gone. And I suppose that's my question to you. Like, have your questions evolved as you've gone, or have you tried to stick to like you said, the brand questions?
Yes, there are only like 3 brand questions. So it's always a conversation with that particular individual. So it's not a whole program that is pre-scheduled, what's the word I'm looking for? That is already structured. It is, who is this person? What is their life story? And whatever they bring, then that's what I'm talking about. So everyone is different, but I always try to keep a couple of questions that I can ask everybody.
Yeah. How do you balance the narrative with, and we've just talked about it then, like how do you balance that narrative with then letting it unfold naturally, organically as it goes?
I think I just I press play naturally and we just get into it and I just let the conversation unfold. I'm literally just listening. I'm observing. I'm hearing what my guests are saying. I'm also hearing what they're not saying because there are times when I will probe a little bit. And I always let my guests know, if you're comfortable in sharing some information, yes, by all means, jump into it. If you're not, you can always tell me, can you cut this bit out? Or I don't want to talk about that. And that's it. Absolutely no pressure. But I just go with the flow because I want it to be unique to that individual. Because it's them telling their personal story. Nobody's ever going to be able to convey their journey as well as they have. My first episode is with a guy who lives in the Bay Area. He what did he do now? Episode 1, an sound engineer, and he was very successful out of university, created his own business. He invented this particular type of speaker, really clever guy.
Is this the guy who went bankrupt?
Pardon?
Did he go bankrupt, this guy? Is this the guy?
Yes, that's the one. Did you listen to that one?
I listened to bits of it, yeah.
Yeah, that's the one who went bankrupt. His story is fascinating and where he ended up. And he talked about aspects of his journey because of where he ended up. I'm not going to give you all the details, so you're going to have to go to episode 1 and really listen. Talking to you and the other. I couldn't possibly have scripted questions to eke out what he revealed.
Yeah. How do you do that? How do you create that safe space where people feel comfortable sharing vulnerable things, like going on a podcast and talking to a lady about how they built this up and then went bankrupt, for example? Like, how do you create that space?
It's creating an environment, a rapport that feels safe. I don't know. I'm not entirely sure because I'm trying to think of other episodes as well. My guests are very transparent and very authentic.
Do you speak to them beforehand, or do you literally just like what we've done today, a couple of emails and then bang, we're on the screen?
Sometimes it's a couple of emails. I think it just develops in the conversation because I cannot create that environment that happens in the conversation prior to the conversation. I can't do it earlier. I don't know.
You know what I think?
What's that?
I think there's a reason why all your friends said to you, you should do this. And it's a reason, and it'd probably be aligning with the stuff that I'm talking about, is that you just create, you're just the way you are, like the way that you speak, the way that you frame things. It just probably puts people at ease. And that, I bet you that's why people have said that to you in the past. And I'm not just trying to, blow smoke. I'm saying it has to be from that, because you can't very few people, I feel like, can just jump on a call with a random person and have a conversation where someone is so at ease, where they feel like they can tell you stuff that they probably wouldn't tell half of the family members. Do you know? I suppose you got to give yourself a little pat on the back there.
Thank you.
That's just me saying that, yeah.
I'm not really.
It's a good trait to have, I think, which it's probably served you well in the past as well, with the way you were able to connect with people.
Yes. I would say for me now, looking back, I've always loved speaking to people. Communicating has always been a strong thread in my career path, whether it's writing, creating stories for a CEO who's trying to convey the message to the rest of the organization and they're not listening because they don't agree with him. Then, there are problems. I come in and I create messages and I speak to them, and I love bringing people together. And I think that is something that happens to be part of my makeup. So maybe that plays a part in it. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm just like, you're like Caribbean me. I love bringing people together and just seeing what happens. Like, whether it's two friends or two business things or whatever it is, I do enjoy stuff like that. It's just nice to hear it from somebody else, I suppose. How do you, with all the stuff, you said you do a lot of traveling, right? You're all over the place with different bits and bobs. Like, how do you balance your adventures away while still maintaining all the connections that you've made with people, friends, family overseas?
When I was in England, 6 months in, because we were there for over a year, 6 months in, some of my girlfriends over here are saying on the phone, and it's like 11:30 at night for me over there. And they're like, when are you coming back? What are we going to, which is really nice, right? Yeah. It's really nice because it means you're missed. And it means that I'm coming back to friendships. And that's how I stay in touch, just leaving people messages, letting them know that I miss them. People, I try to connect with, and I've had good friendships with. And since I've been back, it's not really, kicked in yet. So I don't know. Were they for a season? Are they still there? I don't know. It's okay. That's life.
Yeah, it's true, isn't it? Like, I'm the same. I have a number of people back home that I will let know I am going back a couple of days at Christmas. Same thing. I'll be here on this day. Love to see you. If you can't make it, no hard feelings. Life gets in the way, but yeah, I'm the same as you with that one. What's something you used to believe about yourself or your identity that you no longer believe?
It's that perseverance, resilience, courage, community, you can do anything. I have learned that we all have a toolbox, and in our toolbox, we have all the tools we need to do everything we want to accomplish. It's just a matter of picking up those tools and working it, sharpening them. And it's very hard sometimes because the learning curve for me for this podcast thing is really difficult. It's hard. I'm still climbing it. I love it. There are some days I'm like, but I really love it. And I see that if I keep working at it and I keep learning and I keep asking, I can do it. So I no longer rule myself out of anything. If I'm interested in it and I have a desire for it, why not?
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm on it.
You're on it.
Like that's it. Like, you just don't have a fear anymore of that, where it would have been a fear before.
I used to have this huge fear of social media. Didn't want to be near it. If I had to post anything, I would post about the bamboos I've got growing in the back garden, never about myself. I didn't want my voice on my face. I don't know, a fear of something.
Now you've got a fancy website and you're all over it. Yeah.
With my face all over it. That was a real big deal. These people at my shared workspace had to work so hard on me.
You kind of said this before, and you came across it when you talked about the people that you speak to on your podcast or people that you've dealt with. Do you believe that we're drawn to certain places for a reason, or do we create a meaning once we get there?
That is a gorgeous question. I don't know. It depends on where you sit spiritually. If you have a grounding rather in faith, then I would say, like me, I do have a grounding in faith. I'm a Jesus follower, right? I'm a Christian. I don't believe that my life just happens by accidents. Nothing is haphazard. In general, I think we choose the places we go to because there are certain things we want in life. For example, you want more sun and fresh foods. You're likely to go to, I don't know, Thailand or the Caribbean, something like that. There's always a reason behind where we go to.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know. Mine's just I'm not as spiritual that way, but I feel like I moved here for opportunity and then developed the community while I was here. But I think in the back of my head, I always wanted to explore stuff and do something different. I don't think I ever wanted to stay where I'm from, if that makes sense.
You didn't want to stay in England?
No, I don't think I did. Yeah, I don't know. And again,
it wasn't giving.
Yeah, I looked at people around me and I'm like, I don't want this. I want something different.
Did you know at that point what that something different was?
No, and I'd be honest with you, I don't know if I still don't know if I do, but I just sort of, building the plane while I'm flying it, still doing it, I think, which I'm happy with as well. As long as I'm in a good mental health space and I know my direction, I think I'm okay with that.
That's interesting because maybe that is the something different. It's because I say that because to some degree I see it in myself. It's the opportunity to just try something different, to do something different, to have the freedom to do that, to have the support to do something different rather than being in an environment as lovely as it may be with all your friends and family where it's the same. You look at yourself, where am I going to be 5 years from now? I'm going to be doing the same thing. And if you want to break out of that wheel, it's going to be such a struggle because you don't have the support, you don't have the structure, immediately or as a culture that would enable you to break out of all that you know now and just be different, just be more. It's that having more, right?
It's like a role reversal list now. Am I on your podcast or are you on my podcast? But it's true though. Like I do think like that. I do think that I like to find my way as I go, which may sound counterintuitive to a few people who listen to this because they think I'm very organized. But I do like the idea of I'm not completely bound by where we are. And my wife and I have the relationship where we could move and go and do something else. Don't have kids. We have a dog, but that's about it. So we could do. And she's from a similar mindset as me, and that's why it works. I think it's just an interesting thing. I just wonder if, are people comfortable where they are, move for a reason, or are they just go somewhere and then create the reason as you're there?
It is fascinating. I wouldn't rule out saying there's a bit of both, but from what I've observed, myself, the people around me, the people I've spoken to, my community of expats, they've all moved to a specific country for specific reasons. And even within those specific countries, they've moved to specific cities to fulfill specific reasons. Like the Russian woman who left Texas to go to San Francisco, she had specific needs, and that was around her mental health, being able to connect with people.
Yeah, no, it's true. It is different for everybody. That's why it's so interesting talking to different people, because everyone's got a different story. I think that's why it's important. Do you feel like, because you've got a lot of roots in a lot of different places. Do you feel like there's a cost sometimes to holding on to too many homes at once?
Yes, there is definitely a cost to holding on to too many different homes, because it then means that you're not entirely grounded, or you won't be able to, or it would be difficult to create a sense of belonging, to identify with one place in particular. Whilst I still look at St. Vincent as home, that's because my ancestors and the older people in my family, whoever's 90 plus years old, they're there. And my memories are there, and the old houses I grew up in and friends are all there. That can never change. That will always be the case. And, England is home as well because my mum's there, my sisters and so on, that they're there. But I think because my immediate family is here and my connections here, I'm doing the podcast here, and all the other things that are part of my life that are really valuable are here in the US. This is home. That's really difficult to say, but it's true.
It's a strange one, isn't it? I'm be where your feet are. Like where I am now is home, because this is where I feel most comfortable and I can relax. And I think that's a big part of it for me.
Yeah, there is a cost.
Yeah, no, I know. What do you hope listeners, hopefully you get a few new listeners now, what do you hope your listeners take away from the work that you do and the stories that you get across?
I want them to hear other souls and spirit sharing their stories of the value they bring when they move, whether you see them, whether you see us as expats or immigrants, that idea of who or what an immigrant is altered, is changed. That when you listen to each story, you see the people behind the journey rather than a label, a title, immigrant. And you understand the value that immigrants bring. I also want listeners to take hold of the tips and perspectives and tools and the wisdom that these people bring from their mistakes and their triumphs, and use those in your life. If you are going through a season of transformation and there are challenges and obstacles that you really need to overcome, that you can dip into those solo episodes and those guest episodes and take out what we're giving you and use them for your life. That would be the treasure, the joy. And it's also something about, so three things, yeah. The last would be community. Join the community. Don't feel that you have to sit there and experience loneliness and sickness and culture shock and all that stuff by yourself. Connect with us. Send me a message. Share your story. Ask about somebody else's story. Ask me a question. How do you do this? How do you do that? If I don't know, one of my other guests will definitely.
Do you enjoy the song?
To enjoy them, because that's more exposure. That's my voice near the microphone, sharing my thoughts and yeah, I do now. I resist for a while. Some friends stop and learn, no.
I've never got to that point, but I think that kind of misses the point with me anyway. I think that they need two voices on my one. It can't just be me talking.
Well, with me talking, it's like I try my best. I hope I can keep doing it. But it's me really finding the essence and the takeaways from some of my guests' stories, what they have shared from their experiences, and expanding on that. What does it mean for me? What does it mean for you, the listener? What are you getting out of this? So I try to pull a couple of things out. Other people will hear different things.
Yeah, it's interesting that, because I'm stealing ideas off you as we go. But I just wonder if, because I often thought
you.
Honestly, I know, send me the bill, I'll send you a random address. But I often thought about that, like it's almost like a period of reflection, isn't it? Like, you've taken on these things and then you delve into maybe one point that someone's talked to you about. And then what does that mean to you and how does that look? So, I mean, if you've got something to talk about, I'm sure it's easy. The podcast and everything else, where do you see that going in the next chapter? How do you see it evolving?
World domination.
That's very American answer.
I see it growing and helping people in their season of transformation, in their season of change. People looking for, I don't know.
Would you consider doing like support groups or speaking engagements and things like that? Or is that well out of your wheelhouse?
Well, it's not really out of my wheelhouse. When you say support group, tell me what you mean by that.
I just feel like, sometimes I think that there's a market for it going into a place, going into a place of business where maybe there are people from different places. Maybe it's a place of business where they do bring people over. Maybe it's an international school where there are kids coming over and families coming over and you go in and you talk like to small groups or big groups or whatever it is. And do you bring people up? Do you basically have a chat for a little bit and then bring a guest on or have a little bit of a panel? Like,
yeah,
I don't know. I think it's like pipe dream stuff, but I'm just curious because I always think about that. Like, I've done a couple of things where I've spoken to colleges back in the UK and just give them my perspective on moving to America and what it's like and open your mind to, just not being stuck. Don't get stuck in your own ways at home. Like, you've got a long way ahead of you. Don't nail your colours to the mast at 17, 18. Give yourself a chance to experience other things and experience other careers and get yourself out there. Give examples and talk people through it. Talk what it's like to have children in a new country and getting them used to the school systems or getting them used to, like you said, them play dates.
That's all we want. In answer to that question, yeah, because that sounds appealing to me. That is something I could and would do, definitely. I like the idea of being able to give them this information and then ask me questions and them going away with something useful and valuable that they can use to alter whatever challenges. Just, yeah. Yes to the above, Gary. Absolutely. You were so right because you reminded me of something that I actually did. At one point, I did maybe about 3 episodes on the ways in which we talk ourselves out of our dream of moving abroad because of fears. And what are those fears? We need to name them. And what do they look like? What are the stories we're telling ourselves? And it could end up, if you're not aware of what's happening in your mind, you end up staying in the same spot, not understanding why you haven't moved, why you feel you can't move. How do you overcome those fears? What are those fears in the first place? And then how do you overcome it?
Yeah, honestly, because I never wanted to be one of those people that at my age now, like I'm 45 next week, and I'm like, if I was 45 and hadn't done what I've done, I'd be mortified. God knows where. Do you know what I mean? Like, I mean, I'm sure I'd have found a different way, but I'd hate to think that I would never have given myself the chance. And I don't think I don't know if it's just people nowadays as well, they can't see past the age of 25. Some people think by the age of 25, you've got to have this, and this lined up. All your ducks have got to be in a row, and it's not the case.
Not like that.
They can't see past the end of the nose, unfortunately, some people.
That's difficult.
Yeah.
That's challenging. Yeah, there are many, many things. And every single human being needs something that will help them understand what they can do for themselves by themselves. And moving abroad is one of those things. It is scary. It can be, especially if you're doing it by yourself. If you're doing it with a husband, boyfriend, then you've got somebody else on that journey with you that you can rely on. You can rely on each other.
Yeah.
And it's still hard.
Last question for you. What are you most proud of to this point?
What am I, in general or podcast related?
In general.
Wow. I am really proud of my daughter. I'm proud of my husband. I'm proud of the things I've achieved in the past, the courage to do them, really hard things, to stick with it when they were really, really tough, and when people are giving me a really tough time. This is back in England. I'm proud of doing this podcast. I'm proud of starting this little business, and the fact that I was able to get on my first podcast with you.
Seriously? I'm the first. Oh, no chance. Really? I'm honoured. I am. I really appreciate it. It's been really cool talking to you. I really appreciate it, Yolanda. Thank you so much. Your story's great. What you're doing is great. Like anything about connection, I'm all there. I'm there for it. If people want to find you, where can they go? Well,
I've just gone through a little bit of a renaming. The show name has changed. A whole rebranding experience. The show is now called Starting Over in the USA. And Starting Over in the USA podcast is on Spotify. It's on Apple. And I think most platforms where you find your podcast. The website is still named The Places We Call Home. But whichever you put in, you should be able to find it. It's a journey, and I'm still going through it. I'm still learning.
We all are. Building a plane while you're flying it, mate. Building a plane while you're flying it.
Yes, but the podcast itself, Starting Over in the USA, find me on Spotify, listen to the episodes, leave a comment, leave a positive comment, and be an encourager. That's what I want people to do.
Perfect.
And come and be a guest.
Well, I'll find some people for you. Don't worry about that. All right. Before you go, I usually ask a couple of quick fire questions for people. So if you don't mind indulging me a little bit, I would appreciate it. And it can be as quick fire as you want, because some of these descend into chaos real quick. All right. English themed, really. Crisps or chocolate?
Chocolates.
Any particular shout out?
I've got a drawer full over there that my sister has literally just brought back 2 weeks ago. I love Jaffa cakes. What? I love Jaffa cakes.
So next question. Is a Jaffa cake a cake or a biscuit?
It's a biscuit.
Correct answer.
Yes.
All right. One place in the world that you'd still love to visit that you've never been? Japan. I'd love. A few people have said that, Interesting. All right. How does it work? A Caribbean woman married to a German. So you've got the easy breezy Caribbean, and then the rigid. I don't know. And the only thing I think of is just the rigid uniform of German.
It's an interesting life. It really is. So we met in London, and we had mutual friends, and our friends, we always had these soiree parties, and like after work, and he would be there, then I would be there, and he was, and my friends and I have just met to the end, and eventually we did, and 2 years later we started dating. And then 2 years after that, we got married. 15.
Perfect. 15 years. Congratulations. All right. One Caribbean food that you still can't get enough of.
Rotis.
Yes.
You know what I'm talking about.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Can you get rotis over where you are? Look, we're all excited.
Yeah, of course you can.
You are Czech.
See?
No.
New Jersey has everything that you need.
Okay, I'm coming to New
Except
York.
for the sun right now, so can't come. Yeah. What are you singing on the karaoke?
I Will Survive.
And then the last thing, what is one Caribbean phrase that Americans will never understand? What is one thing you say that Americans are just like, where's she going with this?
Hog says, bathe in the first water you meet. Your eyes are like,
yeah, you got me on that one.
The first, when you come across a good opportunity, jump into it, make use of it. Don't pass it by. You don't know when the next one is going to come along or if there is going to be another one.
That's it. I think that's about as good as it gets. I don't think I can go any further than that. Thank you so much. It was brilliant.
Thank you, because this has been fun and I've become very excited and animated and I've really enjoyed it.
Thanks, mate. Thanks for listening to today's episode. If you or someone you know has a story to share, we'd love to hear from you. Reach out to us via our socials or visit www.crossingthepondpodcast.com to get in touch. Please be sure to subscribe, like, or leave a comment if you can. Thanks so much for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Across Pond Podcasting.